Hello and welcome back to our top-down shooter, Homework Attack. In this video, we're going to talk about increasing the difficulty level gradually so that way our game starts off easy and then eventually becomes harder. So there are a couple different ways that we can make our game harder. We could make the enemies faster, we could make the enemies stronger, we could make them spawn more regularly. For this example, I'm going to make it so that our enemies spawn faster as the game increases in difficulty. So in order to do that, I'm going to change how the homework spawns. I'm going to add a global variable and I'm going to call it spawn time. And we're going to start it off at 5 seconds. So now instead of every 1 second, we're going to just change that to regularly. And right here in our system event, we said system every 1 second I want you to do something. I'm going to change that to every, and then I'm going to say spawn time seconds. So at the beginning of this game, spawn time is going to be 5. But what we want to have happen is every once in a while, spawn time should get smaller and smaller. So what we can do is say the system every X seconds, we'll say every 10 seconds, for example, you go up another level. And we want to have you go up a level, we want to have the increasing difficulty happen by decreasing the spawn time. So we'll say system and let's look at our variables. So the most obvious way to do this here would be to say to subtract from spawn time. Now we're starting at 5 seconds, and so maybe we want to say we want to subtract 0.5 seconds. So every 10 seconds, it's going to get half a second faster. So let's go ahead and add a comment on this. Decrease spawn time every 10 seconds. So the way this should work is every 5 seconds a homework's going to spawn, but then after 10 seconds it's going to switch to every 4.5 and then 4 and then 3.5 and so on and so forth. So I can start off and this is seeming pretty easy. I'm just casually waiting for homework. There it is. Oh no, that one got me. But this seems like it's pretty simple. I'm not real scared. And then eventually we should start seeing that the homework, there it goes, it's starting to increase. Now, I want to talk about a mathematical problem with this solution. We're going to see something happen pretty quickly. You'll notice that the homework is coming more and more frequently now. And now I'm dead and it's gonna start over. So I'm gonna switch over to Desmos right here. So what's happening here is that I have the current speed is equal to, we're starting off at 5 seconds and then we're subtracting 0.5 every time the level goes up. So right here, this is where we start, where we're having a homework spawn every 5 seconds, but then eventually it's 4.5 and then 4 and then 3.5 and then 3, all the way down. The problem is that after we go up 10 iterations, so if you're able to play this game for 100 seconds, the homework is going to spawn every 0 seconds. So that means we're going to have an infinite amount of homework, making the game only able to last for a total of 100 seconds. So the thing is here, if we start here, this first this first level, this increase is not going to be very noticeable, but then eventually the increase is going to get pretty extreme to the point where it's mathematically impossible to get any faster. So this is something in algebra that we call a linear growth or linear decay problem. What we want to do is switch it from a linear growth to an exponential growth or an exponential decay. So I'm going to start at 5, and instead of subtracting something, I want to multiply it by a number that'll make it smaller. So something like 0.9. And then I'm going to repeatedly multiply it by that, which would be the same as raising it to the x power. So you see what happens here is that at the beginning it's going to decrease, but then it's going to decrease by a percentage every level. So we see that if I take this further and further, eventually it's going to get very, very fast. But if we zoom in right here, this still hasn't reached 0. What this is saying is that when we reach our 60-second level, the homework is going to spawn every 7,000ths of a second, which is very, very fast, but not 0. So that means our computer can still calculate this. So the way I'm going to make that happen is now I can say the variable spawn time, instead of subtracting it by 5, I'm going to say that I'm going to set the value. And what I want for the value is I want it to be whatever it was, spawn time, but then I'm going to multiply it by 0.9. Now what that means is 90%. So you could adjust that number right there to be whatever you feel is going to work. So let's make it a little bit more drastic for this demonstration. I'm going to make it 0.75, so that means it's going to be decreasing the time by 25% every level. So let's see if we can notice that a little bit more. So every 10 seconds I should see a significant increase. There should be another homework coming my way. There we go. Getting 2. Oh, missed that one. Here comes 2 of them now. Okay, so we see that the difficulty increased on that one pretty quickly, and now I've got a nice smooth exponential decay, increasing the difficulty at a reasonable rate.